For many, the thought of dying in a fire is a nightmare that haunts their mind. Fire can obliterate homes, devastate businesses, and even consume entire cities. But perhaps the most heart-wrenching reality is the loss of human lives, especially when many perish in a single tragic outbreak. Walk with me as I take you through the horrendous events that unfold during a fire outbreak. Let's start by recounting one of the deadliest fire accidents that have plagued mankind. Imagine attending a school ceremony with your loved ones and never returning home with at least one of them at the end of the day. This was a tragedy that befell the people of the small village of Duabali on the 23rd of December 1995. A day scheduled for the Daf Public School prize distribution ceremony eventually became a mourning and death memorial for many families. Before the incident, many people from the community had gathered at the venue of the event. To make the occasion a colorful one, the event planner had set up a synthetic tent made of plywood and polyester. This was the first mistake that fueled the accident afterward. During the program, a fire broke out in the tent due to a malfunctioning electric generator. Although this started on a small scale, it wasn't put out quickly. Hence, the smoke and flames began to spread too quickly. It eventually blocked the main entrance and threw all the 1,500 attendees into a state of panic and confusion. As everyone ran haphazardly, you could literally hear the scream of people who were already ravaged by the inferno. Of course, almost everyone ran towards the exit door to save their lives. However, their honest longing for survival made it even more difficult to evacuate the building faster. Since everyone panicked and the evacuation was not organized, many people who couldn't exit the building succumbed to the smoke and were suffocated to death. Some died of severe fire burns, while some persons fell on the ground and were stampeded to their death as they attempted to save their life. Over 540 people were reported to have lost their lives in the unfortunate event, and amongst them were predominantly mothers and children. So what should you do when you find yourself in a fire accident? First and foremost, always try to locate all emergency exit doors and staircase locations in any new building you enter. This will make it easier for you to escape a fire accident any day. So when faced with a fire outbreak incident, these are the 5 steps you need to take. Step 1. You must stay calm and assess the situation. I know that it is easier said than done, but staying calm would help you think and clearly make better decisions. Afterward, look around and identify the source of the fire. If the fire is from a small source, you can look for a fire extinguisher to put it out. But if the fire is from a source and it is spreading even faster, which you can't put out with a fire extinguisher, then you head over to step 2. If you are in a building with a fire alarm system, activate it immediately. This will alert everyone else in the building of the impending danger. And if you are in a building with no fire alarm system, then you have to shout fire as loud as possible. In fact, shout as many times as you can so that you can alert every other person that there is an impending danger from a fire accident. Step 3. Dial your local emergency number. If you are in the US, in the United States, you dial 911. If you are in a European country, you dial 112. And if you are in my country, Nigeria, you also dial 112. But I would advise you to just run for your life, look for an escape route and move out of that building, because if you dial 112, they will likely not arrive at that building until you are gone. So find your square root as fast as possible. Give them all necessary details while you are on the call. Tell them your location, the type of the building, and also the nature of the fire. Remember to stay on the line until the operator tells you it's okay to hang up. Meanwhile, still make your way towards the exit of the building. Step 4. While following the designated escape routes and exit sign, do not use the elevators during a fire outbreak. This is because parts of the elevators are made of steel, which would always expand and malfunction, especially when it is heated up. So do not use the elevators. Always take the stairs. And if the hallway is filled with smoke, stay low to the ground to avoid inhaling too much smoke. That's because smoke rises up as clean oxygen are found close to the ground. So the moment you crawl on your knee to try and exit the hallway, then you can easily have access to clean oxygen and not get suffocated by the smoke. Step 5. If you can help anyone without putting yourself in danger, then do so. Please help the children, the elderly one, and anyone who has mobility issue as fast as you can, and try to evacuate the building before help gets on its way. Now, having discussed what could possibly happen in a fire outbreak, it is important we get to know the different techniques in putting out fire depending on on the class of fire that it falls under. And just so you know, there are 6 classes of fire, and I'm going to explain each of these classes of fire and how you can put them out. So let us start with the first one, Class A fire, which is a fire caused by combustible solids. Class A fires are fires involving solids and cardboard, furniture, and other fittings, which are commonly found in residential and commercial buildings. So how then do you put out a Class A fire? The best type of fire extinguishers for Class A fires are water and foam extinguishers. Water is the most popular type of extinguisher used because it can handle most fires involving solid. Foam extinguisher, on the other hand, works in 2 ways. Firstly, they are mainly water-based, so they have the same cooling effect as water extinguishers, putting the fire out by lowering the temperature. Secondly, they contain aqueous film forming foam, which is why it is also called AFFF foam extinguisher. AFFF works by smoothing the fire and sealing the flammable vapor. In other words, the foam blankets the surface of the flame and isolates the oxygen from the flame, thereby putting it out. Apparently, fire requires 3 basic elements to stay ablaze. The first element is fuel, the second is heat, and the third is oxygen. So water extinguisher kills the fire by reducing the heat, which is the second element, while foam extinguishers either reduces the heat or remove the oxygen needed to keep the fire burning. Class B fires are fire involving liquid. Many of the fluids, liquids, and chemicals used in workplaces can be flammable or explosive, like cleaning fluid, solvent, fuels, ink, adhesive, and paint. This is why you would always see the caveat of highly inflammable liquid imprinted on big tankers and trucks carrying crude oil. Class B fires are rare, but they are usually more deadly than other types of fire. We've seen many heartbreaking scenarios of fire accidents unfold when people rush to fetch free fuel from a falling tank, or even when a spark results in a fire disaster in a gas station. So here is how to put out a Class B fire. Should a Class B fire ignite, foam or powder extinguishers are the best types of extinguishers to attack this type of fire. This type of extinguishers smother the fire by creating a barrier between the fuel and oxygen, thereby putting out the fire. Never use water on a Class B fire. Most fuel can float and stay ablaze on water, hence pouring water will never put it out. Instead, it will just spread it to unaffected areas. Class C fire caused by gases. Class C fires are fires involving gases. This could be natural gas, LPG, which is also known as liquefied petroleum gas, or other types of gases forming a flammable or explosive atmospheres. Working with gas is dangerous and increases fire risks. This is why there is usually a cooling pipe constructed above a gas tank in a gas station. The pipe sprinkles water on the gas tank at regular interval to keep it cool and prevent any form of fire outbreak and explosion. A fire accident in a gas station can be as scary as a bomb scene that you watch in movies. So how do you put out a Class C fire? While extinguishers can be used on Class C gas fires, the only safe method to put out this type of fire is by shutting the gas supply. The best type of extinguishers to put out the fire once the supply of gas is cut off is dry powder extinguisher. Sadly, if the fire occurred in a gas station, it would have caused a considerable level of damage before it would be extinguished. Class D fire caused by flammable metals. Metals are not often thought to be combustible materials. You know, it is actually crazy to even think that metal can burn, but some type of metal can burn. For example, sodium. This type of metal can also become a source of fuel to cause fire. All metals will soften and melt at high temperature, which can cause building to collapse, especially if the structural members like the columns and beams are actually made of metals. There are dry powder extinguishers developed to tackle metal fires. The powder inside the extinguisher may vary depending on the type of metal rigs it is designed for. Small metal fires can sometimes be smoothed or extinguished with dry earth or sand, which is actually the common method that is used in this part of my country. Electric fires This is not strictly a class, that is class E of a fire. This is because electricity is more of the ignition than a fuel. Electrical fires are not given their own full class as they can fall into any other classification. After all, it is not the electricity burning but the surrounding material that has been set alight by the electric current. You don't want to be using water to put this fire out or any other conductor, as they could give you a fatal shock. So how then do you put out an electric fire? The best fire extinguisher to use on electrical fire is the carbon dioxide extinguisher. Sometimes dry powder extinguishers can also be suitable for low voltage situation. Remember to always turn off the power supply if you can before you proceed to trying to put out the fire. Number 6. Class F fire caused by cooking fat and oil. Deep fat frying and spillages of flammable oils near heat sources in kitchen can result in a class F fire. The class F fire is most common in commercial kitchens with deep fat fryers but can also happen in homes. These fires are hard to extinguish due to heat from the oil, and using the wrong type of extinguishers can spread the burning oils and fat quickly. So how then do you put out a class F fire? The only type of fire extinguisher approved for use on cooking oils and fats is the wet chemical extinguisher. For small class F fires, you could also use a fire blanket. So let me know what class of fire scares you the most in the comment section, and also consider subscribing to our channel to enjoy more of this kind of videos. See you in the next video.